Hey, so I've decided to make a wood toolbox out of some scrap wood I have in the basement here, and I think when I'm all done I want it to look old and vintage, so I think I'm going to paint it and kind of beat it up a little. Here's the wood I'm going to be using, and it's just stuff I had lying on the shelf. This is 1 by 12, and I think they're 16 inches high right now. These are just some plywood. They're actually different thickness, and these are 2.5 inch thick, and these two are 3.5, and that's just because the scrap wood I had, that's what fit. If you want to make it and you have a whole sheet, go with that. And for the handle, I have some old branches, and I actually cut a bunch more over here. I think instead of using a smooth wood dowel or even a metal pipe, I have a bunch of old metal pipes or copper. I think I want the old kind of homemade on a farm type of look. So I'm going to use an old branch, get rid of all the bark and everything, try to smooth it out and see if I can't fit a branch in there. And the shape of the side of the toolbox, I just kind of freehand drew on this piece of paper. I kind of like that smooth bell shape rather than a pointed triangular shape. So I cut them all out on the table saw, just kind of rough cut them to size, and I'm going to cut out that bell shape and then glue it and nail it together, so it should go pretty quick. I'll try to put everything, the dimensions and the boards if you want, and that pattern, I'll put that up on my blog, so if you want to download it you can probably print it off. I use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so it should fit just fine. And one other thing, like I said, the dimensions, it's 16 inches long just because I thought that looked about standard for a toolbox, and that's how long the scrap wood I had. So it's basically whatever you have and whatever looks good. Alright, I just got done cutting out the side pieces with the jigsaw, and I noticed I didn't really like these the rough sharp edges, so I'm just going to take the router with a small round over bit and smooth off the edges, but only on the top of the board, not where the side boards are going to attach. I stripped off all the bark, I sanded it down, and I ended up with this, and I think when it's all done it's going to look... That's the start of it. I'm going to glue it all together, nail it up with the nail guns. Well, after the glue's dried, here's what the toolbox looks like now. Also, I did stain this top handle with just a natural wood stain, and so I'm going to tape it off and paint everything else red. So here's the toolbox after 2 coats of paint have dried, and before I polyurethane it, I'm going to try and weather it. I'm going to be using just black and brown paint. I'm going to wet it down, try to get it in the corners, and then wipe it off. So I wet all the surfaces down. You wipe in random patterns. So you just randomly get it in an area and then come back with a wet rag and start wiping it off. And what you'll do is you'll get the areas that are standing proud, but all these crevices that black paint will soak into, and you don't want to wipe it all off. I'm going to do this on every corner, every area, try to do it real random, and then come back with the brown paint. Well, I decided to go with wax, so the paint's pretty much dry, and I'm just going to go with this old can of wax that I have, and I'm just going to wipe it on, and so far it's been doing fine. It hasn't been wiping any of the paint off, so I'm going to go around, let it dry a little, and then wipe it off. Here's the finished toolbox. This has 2 coats of wax on it, just this simple paste wax. I might do a little more weathering, but I think it looks pretty good overall. The black and the brown added a lot of depth and made it look a lot older, and I'm happy with how the wood handle turned out. So proportions, I think, like I said, it could be a little longer and shorter, but overall I think it turned out pretty good, and I'll put up the pattern and the dimensions I used on my blog, so you can go check it out.